It's been a couple of days. I done forgot half of what I knew. Let me make sure everything still works.
Oh, yep. There we go.
Yeah. Hey, I got you some new ones. Got you a Viking one. Oh.
Well,
We'll see
if
if anybody
that
shows
didn't
up
wake
tonight.
everybody up, hello everyone. Clack's still playing with his toys.
Yeah, dude, it's been a busy week. I don't know about you, but I have been grinding. I know you've been kind of snowed in over there. Sorry about that, by the way.
I believe what'd they say? At least in the Twin Cities area, it's the third snowiest winter now. So at this point,
Well,
I'm torn between let's go for the record and I'm done.
yeah. Well, I'm still trying to get the bugs worked out of my tumblers. I figured out earlier that I changed the measurement on that rotary. So that's the only video that I've got. I'm still working on, but I had to restart LightBurn, and some of my settings got messed up, and so I messed up my tumbler. So I got another test tumbler now. Let's see if I can turn this bright down just a little bit. There we go. That's better. I don't look like I'm gonna get a tan sitting
yeah.
here.
Yeah, I was working on that Ortour rotary as well, and polish some things up on that. Hopefully that can launch in the morning. And it's a nice little unit. I like the tiltability of it. Actually, let me grab it real quick.
Yeah, going good over here, Jason. Steve, I don't know if it's just on my end, but you're starting to look like I used to look. I don't know. not trying to jinx you, but you got a little Mario Brothers for a second there.
Nice. Okay, well, let me see if I can.
Going good, Jason. How do you like the new XTool P2? I don't have one. It's hard to say for sure. Yeah, Matt agrees with me. He says he's having some issues too. It's probably all that snow on the ground up there, Steve. The lines are probably frozen.
Well, Matt would know. He's he's a good friend of mine up in the cities, and they actually got a little more snow than us. Why am I getting some network issues? Let me shut things down here.
You probably need to fire your IT guy.
Yeah. All IT guys, they're just worthless.
Yeah. John, I've heard a lot of, like I said, a lot of what I'm seeing right now. I'm not saying that folks aren't entirely honest, but well, actually, I think I'm actually right today. If you're looking at me from the camera, I think I got my flip right today, didn't I, Steve? Or is it backwards?
Your lettering on your shirt is backwards.
Yes,
the
I guess
Ken
it
tool
would be.
is on the right side of the screen.
Well, give me just a second. Let me make an adjustment. I'll tell you, I'm trying to learn all this stuff, guys. Every time I add something, it seems like it messes something else up. Let me see. Flip vertical. No, I don't want to flip it vertically. Is it going to let me do it? Guys, it might not let me do it. I wonder if I can do it in here. How about I can do it in here? Video. Oh, that pesky little mirror button was on in Restream. That was the problem. It looked good on my monitor up here, but Restream, the mirror was okay. Yes, now I can read it. So we're good. Now, if I flip it vertically, I'll be standing on my head.
So yeah, this is the Ortour Chuck Rotary. I've been messing with it for the past week or so. I do like it. One of the best features in it is it's all integrated with the stepper motor, and everything just rotates here. So if you've got a tapered object, you can still leave this flat and just adjust this to the taper. If you need to flip it over because it's got a handle and raise it up, you don't have to like unscrew it and slide it on and off like the XTool one. And so that's worked out really well. I haven't had any issues with it. And I got to double check. I think this chuck, the base part of it is actually a little bit bigger than the RA2. I also need to see, I think these little jaws might be interchangeable. Just depends on the screw spacing. So you want to 3D print some or steal and borrow some from some others you have. But yeah, it's a nice unit. The difference between this and the RA2 is there's no roller assembly, so the RA2 can switch between that. But honestly, if you've got the chuck rotary, you really don't need the roller one. So, and they do. I haven't tried yet, so I'm going to try it with a few different lasers. They do include a couple of adapter cables that come in the little kit to be able to adjust to different diodes. So I need to see what all that'll work with. And then, of course, I will be testing it on the XTool, probably the Aether, and maybe a Sculpt Fun machine as well. So I'm happy with this unit. I like it. It's been working well. And so we'll see as I maybe get some others in. Maybe we'll eventually do a comparison.
Yeah. Check this out, though. Yeah. What was you saying about it'll roll over, Steve?
Yeah. That seems to be the design. Aether does that. Ortour does that. I believe the one from Atom Stack is supposed to do that. So they're all taking notes from each other.
And I got to get it out from down here. But yeah, this one, there you go. That's the two of them side by side right there. And they're not small, guys. There's your ruler. That's a foot ruler right there. So they're definitely not small. Works great. I've still got to learn. You have to watch your settings carefully. Taper in the cups and different. If you measured the wrong spot on a cup, you'll mess one up. I did that earlier. But let's see, where's my Aesmer? Let's see. Did I put Aesmer instead of Aether? I did. Well, I did that. I actually did that with the Aether, but I put Aesmer for some reason because I was using that same file. But that's 160 millimeters a second at 70%. So I found my speed. I just got to get the dimensions and stuff worked out. But
so
yeah,
Philip was asking the retail. I think that was on the one I was talking about. The Ortour one. You know, when they list it, they show $279, but right now, I think they've got it on the website for $179. At least on the Cinesmall, which is one of the authorized resellers. And I actually have a coupon code there for an additional $20 off. So that's if that works on top of that, it'd be $179.99 minus $20, so about $160, which isn't too bad for chuck rotary.
Yeah, I would like to try that one too. And I think we got so much gear that we've got to test here in the past little while. It's gotten confusing. But Atom Stack, aren't they? They've come out with a new one too, haven't they?
Yep.
As well.
Yeah, part of their Maker series of accessories. So, yeah, I believe that one's very similar to these, where it's got that kind of rotating head, and
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that compares for. So,
well, matter of fact, this camera right here, that's the Atom Stack Maker that we did the reviews on the other day, and
Yep.
it works for a really good show and tell camera for like an overhead. Oh, it's pretty
I imagine that mount works really well for doing that.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't tie up any of the other machines. It's totally USB. Brian wants to know where you get the coupon code. You gonna put that in your video? Don't you have a video?
It will be in my video, but I will. Let's see here. So if I drop this in there, if you use that link and use the code MA20. That should get you an additional $20 off it. And yeah, my video, hopefully, like I said, it should be out tomorrow morning. If not, tomorrow afternoon or the following day. It should be out within a day or so. I'm just trying to clean up a few bugs on it, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one, and especially if that price right now, it's a pretty good deal if someone's looking for a Chuck Rotary.
Yeah, like I said, I've still got to do some research on the Acer, but I like it for the Acer, that's for sure. It's robust.
Yeah, you've got a pretty good setup there. Your video showing how between that and the switch you got from your friend that allows you to just you store it down below, drop your bed, put the Rotary in, and that's pretty slick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's made a big because I had gotten where I didn't like doing tumblers because all my machines are enclosed and I got so many, everything's just set up the way I like it. But with the drop bed and with the switch that Ronnie sells, man, it's a breeze now to go from tumblers to flat stuff.
Yeah, John was asking about the P2 a couple times. This is the week they're supposed to release more information on it on the 5th is their live stream. Haven't seen a lot of extra information about it other than some of the early stuff. The one thing that I'm a little disappointed in is it sounds like their camera setup and possibly the pass-through feature won't be able to be used within LightBurn. You need to use, I don't know if it's going to be XCS or if they've got a new software coming out with the P2. So you'll be kind of tied to it for that. But for standard cutting and operations, it sounds like you can still control the laser with that. But I think that's one of my biggest disappointments with it, is that if I can't use the built-in camera, which isn't a deal breaker. I honestly don't use a camera all that often because I'm swapping lasers around a lot. Now, once the summer hits and I'm able to get an extended machine set up out in my garage, that's definitely going to be on my list, is have a more fixed point. As far as the price goes, it is a little spendy for the size laser, but some of the cool features on it, that 8-foot pass-through, that could be very convenient for someone that wants to do larger things but not have a massive laser. And I'm curious about how the 3D scanning and functional work. Those are kind of big changes, but they're kind of hitting that price point between the Glowforge and then the Guike Cloud, OhmTech. I forget the name of theirs. They're kind of similar machines. They're in between that. So they're not. I wouldn't say it's outrageous. It's a little more expensive, and we'll see how those work. But that's my 2 cents on it. Maybe that was 5 cents. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm still anxious to see it. Like I said, I want somebody that I know to get their hands on it and try it out before I'm willing to, to say one way or the other. Because sometimes good marketing will trick you. Who was that? Sharon, I'm trying to access my computer behind me to see what my settings on my 10-watt D1 that I use for black acrylic is. But yeah, if you go too slow with black acrylic, you will wind up with it. It'll basically melt back together. What I run with 3mm black acrylic is 100% at 8mm per second. I do 3 passes to cut. And to engrave, I've been running on the 10-watt now, 100% at 40mm per second. So that's black acrylic on the XTool D1 10-watt. So I hope that helps you out there, Sharon. But I'm going to minimize that screen in case I need to refer back to the machine that's behind me. I just didn't want to turn my back on you, and you and Brian be making fun of my backside while I was turned around.
We'd never.
Oh, yeah, you would. Yeah, you would. Oh, look at that. Weather. Look, those guys. Check it. It's going to be 90 there, Steve. 90.
Yeah, so that's what I've been telling people, especially when we got that snow here end of the week. And actually, there's a winter storm warning for kind of the northwest part of Minnesota again on Tuesday. I don't think it's going to hit us down here, but I'm pretty sure we're going to go from the last little speck of snow is going to melt, and it's going to be 80 degrees. It's going to be humid. The mosquitoes are going to be out. We're just at this point we're skipping spring. So
Yeah. Oh, I throwed that question up on the board for you there. I will find out as soon as I can, Jason. I just checked to see if he'd email me back or not. But I sent Ronnie, the guy that makes it, that has the Etsy shop, I sent him an email. He had told me that he could order the ends and make adapter cables and make them available with the switch. And I sent him an email today and told him I thought that'd be a really good idea because it would open him up to basically anybody with any kind of machine would be able to use it at that point. So I'm waiting to hear back from Ronnie. I know he does. He has a business that he runs. This is just kind of one of the things that he does. So as soon as he sends me back an email, I'll drop a post out there, include it in my next video or whatever to let you guys know. But if you've got an XTool Rotary or the RA2 already, then you can just borrow that cable because it's the same. I use the cable off of my roller, my original XTool D1 roller before they even had the RA2, and it was the same plug. So, but he should be getting back with me and letting me know if he's going to start providing those cables. All right.
yeah, so Brian's talking about some of the hardware store plywood. Yeah, I've been playing around with some of the 1/4" and 5mm stuff from Home Depot and Lowe's. I'm just going to pick up a few more varieties from Menards as well. I know that's more regional here in the Midwest, but I have found, yes, that some of them are a bit smokier and create a little more soot. So that's one thing I don't know how necessarily to quantify it, if I can test that, and share some of those results, but I'm definitely going to be looking at a few different ones to try to provide a little bit of comparison and realistic expectations between the few, and then also throw in some Baltic birch plywood and then straight hardwood. So I think that'll be an interesting video. I just got to get some time and all the materials lined up to do that. But definitely some interesting stuff that can hopefully help out.
Yeah, some of the smaller stuff I got from Home Depot, and the ceiling that I put in the other day, I actually used 3mm ply because I wanted something lightweight, just basically to hide the insulation, and not just have insulation up there. So I've actually got some leftover sheets of that 3mm ply that's on the ceiling up there that I can talk about playing around with. Beaver Creek said trying to set up and got this alarm. My first question would be, what kind of machine are we talking about? Because I think I already know what it is. Because I have seen that error before, and I think Steve may have too.
Yeah, usually that's when it's traveled further than it thinks it should. So there's, I think, what is it? The 130 and 131 settings in Gerbil are what you need to check to make sure that they are matching your actual machine working dimensions. So if you've extended it and it still think it's shorter, you're definitely going to get that, and that needs to be corrected. But depends on what type of machine it is. If it's an XTool machine, you're actually going to need to go into XCS and make that fix versus the console and LightBurn for some of the others.
But yeah, I think you get that. That was the error you were getting recently with the ASMR when you got it. It was set to 1,000mm work area.
Yeah, that was one of them. There was there were a few things to work out on that one. Yeah.
Well, I did get a reply back from them. They got my email about the issue with the programming, so they're gonna address that. I actually sent them a working copy, the copy that me and you were using on ours, and they said they would look into it. So, P20 with the extension, yeah, that's the problem right there, Beaver. I knew it when you said that that's what it was doing. I knew what had happened. When you added that extension, you failed to explain to LightBurn that you added that extension. If you'll put it at about half court and then home it, it'll home fine. But what it is your like Steve said, it's $30, 31, I believe it is. Those need to be changed. Let me see if I can screen share this. Let me turn my machine on. but you're going to have to go in and change those settings in order to be able to fix that. And I'll show you right here in just a second. Let me see if I can change my. Oh, let me drag that. Let me drag that down here. Hang on.
Wee.
Hang on. Let me adjust that because that's the wrong screen. Give me just a second. Let me change the screen cap. I wanted to share the top screen, not the bottom one. Screen 2. Okay, there we go.
We're not getting
All
dizzy
right.
at all.
Yeah, that should fix that. All right. So when you go into LightBurn, it'd been nice if I'd already had LightBurn up. All right. So let me get my Acer. Y'all don't even want to see how many machines is on that list. All right. You're going to go to Edit, Machine Settings. You can do it in the console also. Uh, Hang on, guys. Swap it around. Change to another machine. Uh, okay, hang on. Let me reboot my machine right quick. Ugh. See, I knew I should have left it running earlier. Go ahead and answer a question or something. Let me turn this off for a second until I get my machine back up. Watch, it'll connect. It'll connect right away now. As soon as I turn it off, it'll connect back up probably. Oh, but anytime you add extensions to any machine, you're gonna have to go in and fix this. Is it because I'm remoted into it? It is not letting me. It's not letting me do it.
Chris is wondering about cork coasters. I have not actually done any cork recently. I think the last time last time I did it was with my 60-watt CO2, and I don't even think I have numbers from that anymore. So,
What machine? What power output? Well, I don't guess I'm going to be able to show. For some reason, it is being stubborn. Oh, wait a minute. Did I already have P? Oh my gosh, guys. Rookie mistake, guys. Y'all want to know
check on
what
the
I was.
wrong. You didn't select the right Monport.
No, no. It's
No.
even dumber than that. Even dumber than that. Just take a gander. What is, I already had it open.
Oh, you had a second LightBurn. Yeah. Okay.
Where I was doing the tumbler
Yeah.
a while ago. All
Yeah.
right, let me
Chris,
make
if you could let
sure.
us know what machine you're using, maybe we can get you a little closer. But
Okay, wrong one. Wrong one. All right, I got it working now. But yeah, I had it. I still had it attached. I was trying to relaunch LightBurn. That's why it wouldn't connect. But in here, you're going to have to go ahead and just don't worry about this little waiver. Now, before you go to messing around in here, if you ever come in here to mess around, save your settings to a file and put it somewhere to where you know how to get to it. That way, if you were to accidentally change something and it mess your machine up, you can always go back and load from file and undo what you may have done. But max travel, there's where you're going to have to go in. See, with the P20, your X is going to be 430, but scroll down here. Uh, your Y
capacity.
needs to be
Yeah.
850 right there. So you're going to have to go in and change that to 850. It currently is going to be set to, what was it, 430? Yeah, I think it was 430 by 430 from the factory. But you're going to have to change that to 850. Once you change that to 850, what that is that will let the machine know that, hey, you can go up to 850 millimeters before, you know, you stop. And that's kind of a fail safe in case you home it and it never finds home. It doesn't just sit there and keep trying to go. It'll actually stop. So you're going to need to change that value when you add the extension kit to 850, and that's $131. So there you go. That's what you need to do. But that's on my machine over there. Which there, nope, wrong machine, wrong camera. All right. Somebody's asking about cork.
Yeah, so he's got
What's
the D1 Pro 20 watt, wanting to do cork coasters.
20 watt cork on a 20 watt, 150 millimeters a second at 25% works for me.
And that's for engraving.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't cut a lot of cork. It stinks. Like it really stinks, and you can set it on fire relatively easy. But to engrave cork, I run 150 millimeters a second at 25% output on a 20 watt, and that's what I run. I would definitely recommend doing a test grid, but if you know, that's that's what I run. Use at your own risk. All right, so whew, there's the wall. Yeah, Aaron, I needed to. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, that was a rookie mistake. But the problem is I forgot I was remoting into the computer that I would run over there. All right, making sure I didn't miss anything. There you go, Steve's beard. So we're
Have
supposed to
a
be
hard.
playing What's Under the Table today, right?
Well, I'm in the wrong shop. I mean, well, here you go. You want to know what's?
That looks like the cone off of an airplane.
Yeah, it is. It's the
All right,
engine to
Clack,
spell
you
for one
saved
of
me
my
some
air.
headaches with the 8 series value. Mine was working somehow. Set at 200 and wrong ball. Oh, did somebody was shoulder surfing and got their settings they needed for their machine out of that video, I guess. When I was going into my settings, apparently he snagged the setting he needed. Well, that's good. I'm glad there wasn't anything on there that I didn't want y'all to have, like bank accounts or anything. That would have been terrible. People have been screenshotting my bank accounts. Wouldn't have got nothing. I just bought ceiling. Uh, I thought about the test grid. As I just talked about. Yeah, Chris, the test grid that I just use LightBurns. There's some others out there, but David, you just stop saying take some questions while I'm away. Well, I don't want everybody just sitting there staring at each other, you know. Me over here trying to fight with my computer because you got to understand, I have to throw a studio together out here in the shop, so I have to like move everything and run cables everywhere.
Yeah. Jason's asking about the preview time estimate. Wondering what to do to get a better estimate because yeah, like he's saying, it was saying 37 minutes. Turns out to be an hour and 15 runtime.
When y'all figure it out, let me know.
Yeah, that's Lightburn's making its best guess off of what it knows from your machine. So one thing you can try to do is if you go into Lightburn and have it, you want to read the settings from your machine. That'll help it know a little bit better what it can do, um, rather than just making its best guess. But yeah, based on it's trying to calculate based on the speeds. But if your machine has a different acceleration rate and such, that's going to slow down. And it's just I've seen it's kind of all over the place on diodes. Um, CO2's at least my CO2 is a little more accurate, um, but yeah, it's a little frustrating.
Is that the same machine we were talking about earlier? They're saying XTool P20.
What's the P2 is their new 55 watt CO2 that's coming out this week. Well, they're
Yeah.
announcing officially the details this week. It's been on pre-order for the past month with some deals, basically kind of like their own internal Kickstarter, if you want to call it that. Um, but they'll have more information coming out this Wednesday. I haven't really seen anyone get even some previews. Normally, they put people on kind of an NDA So we'll see if people have any machines. You'll probably start seeing them drop either on the 5th or the day or two after that. I'm curious about it. I'm interested in it, but until we see more and see some, a little more in depth, non-salesy reviews of it, I guess we really won't know.
Yeah, maybe Steve can get one. He can check all the statistical stuff about it.
I'd love to. I'd love to check one out.
Uh, do you see the question about LightBurn here?
Is
Thomas,
it cloud based?
it's a local program. It's not cloud based. You have to download it to your machine.
They do allow you to manage your licenses online. So by default, you get 2 installs per license, and then you can have up to 3 if you ask nicely. Um, and if you need to deactivate one, like if your computer goes down and you can't deactivate it on the computer, you can do it from their cloud. But other than that, it's all offline. It's generally not connected other than for checking for updates. So you could be out in the middle of nowhere, no internet, running off a battery, and it'll still work.
Yep. And you don't even have to buy the updates if you don't want to. I forgot to renew mine, and I just realized it like today that I'm still running the same version
So
I've had for a while.
so yeah, you could hold off on updating and take a break from it. But if you do it, I think they say if you do it 30 days prior to 30 days when you renew, they actually give you a little extra time. Um, so there's some benefits to renewing. I It's fairly inexpensive software compared to a lot of the others I purchase, and I think they've done a lot of great work on making a piece of software that's fairly universal to lasers, at a very reasonable price. So I don't mind supporting them in that. As a matter of fact, I run it on so many different computers. I'm almost tempted to buy a spare license just because I'm tired of flipping them
Yeah.
around. So
Well, you have 2 shops, and you probably have a computer or two in each shop that you use to keep toting them back. So,
well, that's why I
yeah,
got the new
luckily I
laptop.
got 2.
Yeah, that's why I got the
Yeah.
new laptop as well, so I can run that between the two. But yeah, I've got my office, I've got a dedicated computer in here, and then I got my laptop, and I try to not add it to too many more.
Yeah. Viking, the one thing that I'll say about cameras are a good tool. I like my cameras. I've got one at every enclosure. I've got this one that I use when I've got machines on the tables. They're a really, really good tool. Now, there are going to be slight variations, especially in the extreme parts of the work area. And I haven't found a camera yet that's 100% correct 100% of the time. I don't know that they exist. I'm like Steve. If somebody would come up with a way that you could put like an array of cameras in there, like 4 of them, so that there could be some kind of AI software running in the background to triangulate the distance and everything, maybe then. But using a single camera, uh, calibrate it when it starts giving you problems, but never depend on it 100%. Like, you can calibrate it, and usually I'll get a couple of weeks out of mine, but then it'll start getting hinky or something will move, and then you need to recalibrate it. So just kind of use those. Steve, you're going all Mario Kart on me again over there.
Yeah, I see. I'm getting a little network weirdness.
Steve's being
Let's see if I
hacked.
can do.
Somebody's trying to hack you.
Yeah, you got to shut down Netflix on someone's TV.
Let's see. Yeah, everybody else agrees. Lightburn's good software.
Yeah, they're having their first ever convention here in October, I believe it is, and it's in Peoria, Illinois. I'm kind of waiting to hear a little bit more from that, but that's not too far. I mean, it's a 6 hour drive for me. And I think they're only asking $125 to attend, and you got to pay for your hotel room. But they give you a free year renewal of Lightburn, and then a lot of networking with various people and there's classes. So I might have to check that out and see. It sounds like that could be a good learning time, good networking time.
Let's see here. Let's see how far that is from the house. All right. Well, Steve, I'm gonna be honest with you, buddy. That's a long ride from here. A really long ride. That's like 12 hours from here. So I don't know.
Well, I will let you know how the drive down is in about 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, I forgot about that.
Uh huh.
I wouldn't mind going to a LightBurn thing, but you know, we'll see. We'll see what's going on back during then, because that would take me a few days. October's kind of a busy season for events and stuff, and you know, I
Yeah,
don't
that's
want to
some of the
miss any of the big
feedback they're
events in
getting
town.
is a lot of people are like, oh, that's like prime early holiday season. So
Yeah, because October I am typically just slamming stuff out, trying to get ready for the pre Christmas, pre Thanksgiving rush. So, oh, with how easy, I don't know that acrylic would take to polyacrylic real good. I don't know. I've never put anything on acrylic. Just clean it real good. Oh, Steve, you're clear again.
I just gave my computer priority on my network.
Hey, I don't blame you. I do the same. My little Clack Shack switch out here's got network priority, which I have plenty of internet, luckily. So Jason said it's 8 hours and 11 minutes from him. So he's like me. It's a long ride.
Yeah, I think they said that this is kind of their first one trial run, and then they might see if they can do them, more regionally or just kind of like annually bounce around a bit. But I'm glad that this first one's reasonably close to me.
Ah, whew. Lord, I messed that camera up. Y'all can see my new ceiling right there. All right. I'm not seeing any more comments. Everybody's got quiet. They must just be, everybody just, now that they can see you, they're just admiring your beard.
I've been,
Yeah,
yeah,
Super Duty said, how'd the pot shopping go?
yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, I actually wound up, my daughter had some at her herb garden that I just stole those. I'm going to engrave them and give them back to her. So I didn't have to buy any. She already had some new ones. Got lucky on that. I did have to go to Tractor Supply with my wife today to get the remaining stuff for the garden. We got that done. That is behind us now. Uh, then some of y'all commented that I wasn't doing any work, but just so you know, uh, I was working, but somebody had to stop and take the picture to share it with you guys.
What all good supervisors say.
Chris, if it's backwards, just flip the file. Oh, that's all I can tell you. Because when I built that thing, I did not have an RA2. Oh, I actually had somebody, one of the guys that like followed the channel, gave me the measurements, and I built it and sent it to him, and he said it worked. So it may be backwards, but you're the first person that's mentioned that.
So I don't, okay, this is purely theoretical, but going back to my motorcycle riding days, I used to use this plastic polish on my visor and my windscreen whenever you'd get some small scratches in it. This might be worth trying on acrylic. It basically goes on a paste, you rub it in, and it's supposed to help kind of clean up scratches and polish it. I don't know how that would work, especially on any engraving stuff, but might be worth some testing. Like I say, um, never tried it myself. I'm
It's just
not endorsing it, but just from back then trying to keep my visor polished and clean so you wouldn't get as much glare. I know I used to do that, and it would help. So,
what kind of motorcycle do you have, Steve? Just out of curiosity.
well, my last one was a Yamaha VMAX. Um,
Okay.
I had a little Honda, a small CBR. I had a Yamaha Maxim,
I knew you
and
had one.
and then I had a Suzuki 850 something, real briefly. But yeah, I've had a handful of them. But
I kind of figured. I figured you'd be like a Jinxer kind of guy, be out there on you, just drag racing.
yeah, well, that was the
All
VMAX.
right.
That was a that was a drag racing bike.
Oh yeah. What kind of equipment do you have to raise and lower your honeycomb? I guess you're talking to me, Happy. But I have a. It's actually made for a table, and I've got a video on my channel where I built that thing, and you can go watch that. And I've got links to all the parts that it would require to do it. But it's not exactly made for what I'm using it for. It was a little bit of Southern engineering. So give me just a second, and I will find a link for you, and you can go check that out. There we go. All right, YouTube's trying to figure out the curve. Jason, you really don't have to worry about the curve. When I built that last set, depending on which one it is, when I built the one for the Aitzer, I built in a little added curve to it. And if you add any curve, you're going to need a hammer to put it together with. Because you got to have a rubber hammer. The one that I've got in there that says tight fits, you've already got to have a rubber hammer for. Yep,
There
I
she
had
was.
similar. I had similar, so I can't make fun of you. I was just wondering when you said motorcycle. I was just wondering. I didn't know. I didn't really picture you as like the bagger kind of guy, but I didn't know.
You know, it yeah, that was the bike when I started riding motorcycles and such. That was kind of like the this would be really cool. And then I got one. And I'm like, this is cool, but I could get myself in a lot of trouble. And it was not at all fun for like long distance trips. So
Mm-mm. No, I went through a period, but I'd had one since I was a kid. But it just got to where doing what I do one too many times of going to one of those accidents, and it just was like, you know what, I'm not gonna stick my wife or my daughter in the back of this anymore and ride around. I'm just
yeah,
not, you know.
yeah, that was kind of
Just
it too.
one too many, I guess. And it was just like it ain't worth it because you can be the best rider out there. All it takes is for somebody to be texting and driving, and boom.
Hmm.
So that's that. When texting and driving got to be real popular, that was about the time I decided motorcycles weren't for me.
Yep.
White painted wood when engraving. Best bet is if you don't want smoke on white painted wood is to put masking over it. I've tried transfer tape and transfer tape, but tape blows up and still smokes the paint under it.
So when that
Maybe
happens, I usually actually take I'll take like a an old credit card or a gift card. Actually, really burnish the transfer tape onto the material a little bit better, and that tends to help it from lifting. Um, but the yeah, that's about the best thing I could recommend for that.
yeah, transfer tape's really your only thing. I mean, you can use the blue tape. There goes my comments messing up again. You can use the blue tape, but that blue tape just I can't get consistency cutting through that stuff. Maybe somebody else can, but I can't. So yeah, my chat has just kaput on me. So
You
I
know, and
can't really do anything with it no more.
also, you know, if you can regulate your air a little bit, that should help from it peeling up. But really, taking the time to burnish it down with a card to make sure it's stuck and smooth there, that should help.
Well, if you're engraving and you've got masking on there, I mean, you know, with engraving, air assist really isn't as critical. Other than I like to run mine to keep the lids clean, but it doesn't take
Right.
much pressure to do that.
Well, especially with painted objects, a lot of when you're blasting that, I find more of it, and I found this a lot when working with the painted tiles and such. That debris will get up on that cone that sits so close with the diodes. Um, so yeah, I think I would say just kind of watch the application technique. Try to make sure you get you know good. There's different tackiness to different transfer tapes as well, so you might want to check that out some. But I find if you burnish it down, it should help out.
I can see there. I think so. I can see some comments. They finally fixed themselves. Uh, no, I recommend always having positive pressure. In my opinion, there's a difference between having positive pressure in the nozzle and air assist. Uh, I always want positive flow to keep debris out from inside the nozzle. Now, I don't always turn it up enough to where it affects the burn necessarily. But now there are other times that I want that thing to blast stuff out of the way. So I run air pressure through my nozzle pretty much all the time. Sometimes it's to assist with the cut. Sometimes it's simply to keep my nozzle clean. So
Yeah, and Michael's got a good point here too. Rather than the blue painter's tape, frog tape, it's green, and so especially if you're working with a diode laser, the blue painter's tape is gonna be harder to get through. But that green does work pretty well. I actually used that in one of my videos on marking a Swiss Army knife that was made from walnut handles and such. That the green frog tape does work really well. But yeah, on a larger object, it definitely would cost a little bit more, but
yeah, you would
something to
think
try.
somebody would have come out with some black transfer tape by now for us laser folks. That would be nice.
Hmm?
Instead of because all the transfer tape I get is like the 12-inch wide. It's
Yeah,
white
it's white.
and
Yep.
highly reflective.
Yep.
But you'd think somebody would have come out with black by now. That would be very useful. You should create that, Steve. Sell it your Etsy shop.
Okay. Let's crank that out of my factory.
A couple of fan mods, so be sure if it works. Yeah, Brian, I'm really cautious about what I do with the fans on electrical equipment because uh, a lot of folks, I've seen some weird stuff done with the fans on the back of these machines. And to be honest with you, most of these manufacturers are trying to get by with the smallest fan they can to keep the thing running cool because they don't want to make it the size of a, you know, coffee can. And so if you start restricting the airflow on these fans, I'm just afraid of what that the effects that might have. And that's just my personal opinion. But I've seen some people do some weird stuff with it. It is loud, Brian, but take it from me. If you put it inside a 3/4 inch thick plywood enclosure, it gets a lot quieter. Mine's running over there now, but I've got the enclosure wide open. But I'll leave it up in case somebody else has a question, but I will close this. See, can't hear it now.
John was asking about Easter projects, and I haven't done any like dedicated Easter projects, but since I was working on that rotary, and this will be in my video, I did get a wooden egg and engrave a nice little Happy Easter on it. So, and glad it
Good,
was wooden
good thing it's
because I
not
keep
a
dropping it.
good thing it's not a good thing it's not a real egg.
But yeah, all right. But yeah, this is one of the advantages of the rotary with the chuck. So you got the end stop on one side, you got the fingers on the other, and then it just kind of grabs and rotates it. Whereas if you had this on rollers, good luck getting it to not rock back and forth. So
There you go. Well, there we go. My CO2 is not big enough to put a mirror in it.
so yeah, you can't. I mean, it's the same theory. If you're working on the mirror, you're really engraving the back of it, and so um, you just kind of flip it over and you find just enough to blast through the the coating on the back, and then that should also etch that back surface of the glass. So you can run it on a CO2, you technically could do it from front, but you wouldn't want it to have the flashback of the light going into your machine at all. So the biggest thing there is that you don't you want to elevate the mirror so that there isn't any reflectivity coming back at the glass as well. So if you had it flat on a piece of MDF or something, it's actually going to interact with that MDF, and it could actually then cause a little bit of interaction with the glass on the front of it as well. So
It will. It will. My advice is to space it up an inch or so off your workspace with something.
Yeah, you just need a little bit of space there so that it won't interact.
But I just dropped a link to the video that I did when I did a mirror here a while back. But yeah, you will, if you put it on a flat surface, that the light will generate enough heat that it'll mess up the front of it. So I'd leave it at an inch gap for sure. I actually did an egg. Was it last year? But mine was actually a fresh egg. Like mine was like as fresh as they come. Like I went
Not
up
even
there,
hard
got it from
boiled,
the
huh?
yeah, I went up there, got it from the chickens, brought it straight in, and engraved it. So
That could be messy if you had your settings too high.
Well, I was a little nervous at first, but it worked out. It worked out fine. It actually looked good because see, we don't have white eggs here. Well, we do, but we also have other color eggs. But yeah, it was an early Clack Shack video. I need to redo a new one because I just pulled it up and it sounded like I was in a hurricane. So that's before I got microphones. But I may try to replicate Steve's video, but do it with a real egg.
Well, then you should be going and finding like an ostrich egg or something.
Surprisingly, I would not want to buy one of those for that. Those things are expensive, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I use a chicken egg.
Oh, come on,
I've
do it for
actually
the
found
views. Do it for the views.
Yes, Pole Barn Productions. I have Americanas. I have a couple of like it's kind of my own breed of chicken. I have had all kinds of different chickens, and over the years, I've kind of bred them together. But yeah, they lay blue, green, brown, white, and beige, like pink eggs. The different ones, but yeah, I've got a mix. I got a hodgepodge of chickens, and I got two guineas. I had a guinea that visited with me in the shop here, but I also have foxes and coyotes and owls. So I've had to start keeping my guineas in the pen now because they kept coming up missing. Yeah, an emu egg would be kind of cool, but I don't have any of those either.
So, as far as pumps go, it's not so much the PSI you're looking for, but actually your volume of air that's moving. Most of the diode manufacturers when they're providing them, they're aiming for around 30 liters a minute. So if you can find something in that range, you're going to be right in the ballpark of what they are recommending. And then from there, you may find your trial and error where you want a little bit more or less. In any instance, I'd try to make sure you have a way to have a variable speed on that, whether you're restricting it somehow, although restricting an air pump can be a little bad for it. So you might want to have a way to bleed off part of the air versus restricting it. But yeah, I would look for something in that 30 liters per minute range as far as an aquarium air pump. But yeah, there's plenty of them out there. A lot of people have used it. As a matter of fact, on some of the larger CO2s, that's what they provide you is basically a large aquarium air pump to move that rather than something specific. So.
Here we go. I'm trying to answer questions. There you go. There you go, Beard. Chris, yeah. But now that's an older video, but it does go over the fundamentals of it. And if I ever get caught up, I might look into doing a new one. But the art library is it's pretty simple. I mean, it's not complicated. No, guineas and chickens will not cross their diet. Do that's that the guineas and chickens are kind of like turkeys and chickens. They don't they don't mix. They don't usually get along real well either. Hopefully, I don't miss your address. This is what? Okay, I missed something. Hopefully, I don't.
The question's actually the next one.
Oh, okay. The minimum heat setting is 20%. Yeah, Steve. We just had another guy. Did you see where that guy was having the same issue with his that you had?
No, was that in the Facebook group?
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that was it was one of the groups or somebody messaged me.
Okay.
You know how you had the problem with your Acer not wanting to live up to its full potential?
Yep.
Yeah, he had the same issue. Apparently that's something happening when people install it. So here we go with the screen share. All right. The setting that you're going to be looking for. Hey, Steve.
Fixing it for you.
The setting that you're going to be looking for when you go in, you're connected to your machine, you want to just up on button. Go over here to device settings. That S value right there needs to be 1000. I think the chat overlay is okay. No, it's not. But right there, the S value max. Make sure that's set to 1000. There's the guy I talked to the other day said his was set to 250, which is only going to be about 25% of your output being allowed to work. So that needs to be set at 1000, and you won't believe the difference it's going to make. So there you go. That's where you fix that at, guys. I hope that helps there, Pole Barn Productions. Well, thanks, Chris. They work pretty well. I did one for the what is that? Longer L5 today. Just testing it out. It's a new machine here in the shop that I'm trying to get caught up on. And then I get a mystery shipping notification. Somebody sold something on Etsy.
Mute that.
I know what that sound is. But thanks, Chris. We appreciate it. Setting is the one I cannot. That is the minimum setting. That's the maximum power. What do you mean minimum setting? What problem are you having with it, Paul Barr?
So is that when you're talking about in LightBurn, you can put your maximum power and your minimum power on your individual your layer setting? That might be what I believe. Don't they actually disable that for diodes?
It's still got numbers in here under the spindle speed. Is that what you're talking about under where it says spindle speed?
No, on so you go into your layers, and if you double click on it, there is a max.
Oh,
power.
max and minimum. That's on yeah. That's on images though. Doesn't that only affect it on images?
Well,
or is it?
Yes
are they not? Let me see.
I know on older versions of LightBurn and/or on, say, like my CO2, you can actually adjust that. Whereas I think on most of my diodes, that's not an option. I'm just trying to check that on mine. But
is it possible that they got a different version of LightBurn, like a Galvo or something, maybe? Minimum max power. Max powers. Are they talking about changing the layers?
So yeah, I think it's in the if you go into the sub options on your layers, you have your max power setting and sometimes your min power setting, And so that was a thing where, due to the laser needing to ramp down its speed, um, you used to want to also have it ramp down the power. And now I believe they have that set up to where it kind of just does that automatically, and that's where you can turn on or off constant power mode, whether you want to actually force it to always be at the max power. But yeah, I'm on most of my diode ones. That's not an option anymore in LightBurn to have the minimum power, other than like you say on the image mode. So
Yeah, I think you have to change it to image to get the. And I'm not. I'd have to import an image. Let me see if I can bring one in. But I haven't seen that other than on images. Let me see. Bring shirt. Yeah, I'm still not seeing a minimum on here. It's just a maximum power output. It's always maximum power output. I'm not. I wish I could have screen. I wish I could see the
yeah.
screenshot.
So this, this might be a good one to throw into our Facebook group. You could throw in some screenshots with those settings you're seeing, and then we can actually take a look at those images and also pull in more of the group to provide some feedback on it as well. Because I think this is one of those things that if we could see the screens, it might help right away. So
Yeah, if I
just
knew where the setting was.
a little plug for that. I know in if you're watching from my stream, I've got it linked down in the show more section. There's the community group on Facebook, and we definitely watch that for various questions and try to get them answered as well. And I'll throw it over here
I
in the
need to
chat as
change
well.
that. I need to change that. I renamed the darn thing because it you know how Facebook gives you that. They won't let you change it until you get so many members or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I changed it, and I haven't updated my little thumbnail thing yet. So hang on, let me fix that right quick. Let me hide that.
But yeah, on cutting, it's generally going to ignore that pole barn unless you disable or you turn on constant power mode. Then it tries to cut at its maximum power the whole time. Normally, it's trying to adjust it through an algorithm itself. So, but if you're looking at the photo end of it, then yeah, you should be able to play with your settings, and you can add your minimum maximum as well.
Yeah, like I said, join the group and put a screenshot of what you're talking about on there, so we'll know exactly where it is. If it's in a controller setting or if it's on the layers. And it may be something if overscanning's turned off. Maybe that's why I don't know. It's something's different in their setup than what it is in mine because I'm not seeing a minimum power setting anywhere.
Yeah, I see it. I see it only when I bring an image in, and um, do you have okay? So if you're on an image, if you have pass through checked because you've done your settings outside of Lightburn, then that's going to disable that as well. So, and you should if you set it up like using Imgur or such, then you don't want Lightburn to do its image mode as well. But if you disable pass through, then it should enable the min power to be adjusted. But then it's going to also apply its photo editing to it.
Yeah, that's going to be what that is. That's going to be down below the layers. It says power max. I don't see a minimum, but yeah, I think I see what you're talking about. Just you might want to go watch some more Lightburn stuff, but I don't think the setting that you're talking about. Like I said, I'd send a screenshot of it where we can be sure because I don't want to tell you anything wrong. That would be unfortunate. But let's see here. Chat overlay back on. We hadn't even had that on tonight, have we?
So, let's see. Jason was asking about Monport 40 watt settings for engraving clear acrylic. Now, have you I know you've been cutting.
It's a good thing I pulled that window up. Monport. Okay.
I know you've been cutting a
Uh,
variety of colored ones. Have you messed with clear recently?
yeah. Well, yeah, I do. I use that. That's the only reason I have the Monport is for clear acrylic. So yeah, I got data on that. Clear acrylic with air assist. And guys, let me stress to you: if you're cutting acrylic with the CO2, the Monport, if you don't have air assist, it can be a pain because it makes it melt back together behind the cut. But if you use air assist, it doesn't let it really get hot enough around the edges to melt. But I cut clear acrylic with the Monport 40 at 8 millimeters a second at 60% power, 2 passes, and I engrave at 200 millimeters a second at 60% power. And hang on, I'll get you an example. Overhead camera. But that's what I end up with. So if I can figure out the orientation of this camera, but that's well, what the hey?
There's a bigger screen for you.
Okay, which way do I got to go? This camera's wonky, but that's it right there. That's the settings I use for these Christmas ornaments, and that's all I use the Monport for. And like the edge, if I can get it to focus, the edge is kind of glassed over, but yeah, that's those settings right there. Just so you know, there you are. But that's all I use that machine for is Christmas ornaments mostly. Or if I need to cut a piece, like I cut the bracket for enclosure Zilla out of acrylic, I use it for that. But that's my acrylic machine. That's really all it does. You have to offset the crosshairs as well between the mods. What?
Let's see. I think he's asking. He's got the 20-watt and 40-watt modules as well as the IR module. Wondering about setting up the settings for him. So, if I'm following this conversation right, yeah, you'd want to set
He's
up
got two machines.
Right. Well, at least different modules for various ones. I would set up. I would go into your devices and you can copy the device and then relabel it as something else, and then you can adjust your settings specifically. So I might say XTool D1 Pro 40-watt, 20-watt, and IR module, however, whichever ones you want. And then within those devices, you'd select which one and then make your changes for there. You can do that in the same instance of LightBurn. You just need to make sure you're selecting the right one, which with whatever you're hooked up to. Or if you want to run two at the same time, you can just open up a new instance and then jump between the two.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I do for machines with a rotary and without them, as far as like I create a profile. Some of these machines, I create a profile and just go in and just drop whole new settings. You can do it on the back end like that too. If it's the same actual machine, but you're running different settings, when you go to the machine settings, import and export, to set max to 20, then you can lower your minimum. Oh, okay. So use different devices for the same device, just different module. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I think it's the same machine, just got different modules on it. Oh, is he talking about? He may be talking about cut settings. That'd be different. That would be more of which I hadn't played with that material library, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that can be shared between all. Then you got to label it in your material library that these are settings for a specific device.
I still use Notepad.
Like a physical one or the one on the computer?
No, the one on the computer. Like I've got on my desktop up here. I've got these little, like I've got all these little Notepad little icons up there. Each one of those is my power charts for different machines.
Yeah, you could at least use a spreadsheet.
it's just notepads are easier when you because if I open the notepad, all the settings are for that machine. So that's how I started, and I just hadn't get away from it. I need to start using the material library, but I procrastinate. All right, any more questions? Well, hello, Penny. You hadn't missed much. Just you did miss Pixelated Steve. You may want to go back and watch that since he liked to make fun of me the other day. Steve was having some network issues for a change.
I blame everything's thawing, so it's groundwater.
Yeah, you're going to have an extensive library. That's one reason. Like I said, I just open a Word document, and it's kind of a lot of times too. The reason is because people will say, "Hey, can you send me settings for this or that or whatever?" And if I got it, it's just easy just to drop that on Google Drive and send it to them. But you know, yeah, don't miss it, Penny, because he was really pixelated, and it was really you could tell it was really bothering him. Critical focus for the D1 Orleans. Yeah, I've heard that IR lens is really finicky about focus. You hadn't got one, do you, Steve? Have you tried it?
Nope. No,
Yeah, I
that's one of
hadn't.
those things that, yeah, it was just too niche. I don't have a big use for it, so I wasn't willing to spend the money on it until I come up with some way to recoup that. But
Yeah, that's me. I don't do a whole lot of metal. I would like to. Give me a fiber one day.
hey, Dave, good to
Fiber
see you here.
small. Fiber small. I think I can handle one of those. Hello, Dave. That's one of your peeps.
Yeah, well, if you're interested
Challenge
in
coins. Go ahead.
CNC work, Dave has a lot of great content, and he does a good live stream on Saturdays talking about that. So
Yeah, you're
definitely
still
a
trying to sell
world
me
of
on.
knowledge there.
You're
I'm
still
telling you,
trying to sell me on one of those.
you need a CNC machine one of these days. CNC router.
Hey, I have found out that you can actually mount them to the wall, but my only question is when you cut stuff out, doesn't it fall?
No, you still gotta do some clamping, and yeah, you can run them on the wall, but about everybody that I know that has done that eventually regrets it because it makes it harder to use. I always
Well,
go
see,
by the means if you set up a tool and it's in place where you can just run in and use it, you're more likely to use it. Where if you gotta work at it, you gotta clear stuff off of it, you're gonna find excuses not to use it. So
yeah. Well, I'm tapped out for space right now, so can't do it right now. Sweet Penny. Penny says she's getting her enclosure, Gazilla.
nice,
Hey, it
very nice.
works. It works. My latest upgrades made it even cooler. I just got to figure out how to work that rotary better. I thought I had it down, and I did a cup earlier, and I mismeasured, and my logo shaped like an egg. Yeah, I do have the properties, Brian. That's not the problem. It's the money.
Yeah, I know both of us have talked about this. I don't have I have just a little bit of experience, mainly setting one up for the computer integrated machining work or program at the college I work for, but I haven't had a lot of chance to play around with it, and that's a large epilogue unit that would be really nice to have more time on. But yeah, I would love to even get something smaller, like was mentioned, the challenge coins. I think that would be a really fun thing to be able to make some custom coins for people and things. I do want to get one at some point. Um, I kind of am more tempted to jump into like the 30 watt ish range. I think it'd be more usable for the things I'd like to play with, but it's a bit of an investment. So I need to free up some fun money, uh, get some sort of sponsor, or maybe Clack wants to be a sugar daddy or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck with
uh,
that one.
no, I do want to play around with one eventually, and like I say, I think from there I might find some ways to, whether I have to pay for it or recoup some cost on it. But I don't have a lot.
Yeah. Well, if Adam Stack's listening, I am very intrigued by the M4. I actually, what was it? Is it? I call it the LP because I just think that whoever named it didn't understand what they were saying. But the Laser Pecker 4, the one that comes with the 1064 and the diode in the same machine, I think that would be a cool device to play around with. But they had actually sent me an email. I replied back, and then you know how that goes. They send the email, you reply back,
Mm-hmm.
and then just
Yeah,
so
yeah. So.
maybe one day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the 50 watts and 30 and 50 watt fibers are awesome, but they like them. It was in image mode, had to change settings to grayscale. See, I told you I thought that was only in an image.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use that. I use Jarvis, so I don't ever see that. That's why I don't see it, I guess. But yeah, I'd like to have me a little small fiber because I do have some project ideas and some things I would like to do. But no. Now, Chris, the weird thing is they actually emailed me. Like they sent me an email and said, "Hey, this is who we are. This is what we make. This is the product we've got. What do you think about it?" And I was like, "I've heard about it. I think it's a cool idea. I would love to try one." And then just
Yeah,
nothing.
you occasionally get that, and it's unfortunate, but
Yeah, maybe one day. But I will say this, and I don't know if you got it or not, Steve, but I got a notification today saying that my Amazon package had shipped. So I went into my Amazon, I looked, and I don't have any orders pending with Amazon. So tomorrow, Steve, we're going to have another random package of the day photo because sometimes stuff just shows up. Like I'll come home from work and there'll be a package, and I'm like, "What
yep.
is this?" And then you look at it, and of course, it's got some company name on it that you're familiar with, and you're like, "Well, where did this come from?" And then like 2 days later, you get an email. I see you received my package, and it's like, "Well, yeah. What do you want me to do with it?" So that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, guys. I don't sit around. Me or Steve, either one, don't sit around, emailing them going, "Please send us something." Typically, they reach out first, or either it just shows up. Now, there are some companies that I would like to get stuff from, but those guys aren't. They aren't biting.
Yeah, I find it's some of the smaller ones that will ship from their Amazon stock, and that's where I've gotten some that way. And ironically, they come faster, whereas some of the larger people will want to ship direct from their places, usually overseas and such. So,
Flanok, as far as clock stuff, I can't really tell you on that. I've got some stuff off of Amazon, and I've picked up a few at Hobby Lobby, but I don't make a lot of those clocks, so I've never had to buy them in bulk or anything. Hobby Lobby sells them pretty cheap, and Amazon, I think the ones that I've used from Amazon weren't but like $8 for them and an extra set of arms and everything.
yeah, I know
Home
both
Tech 30
places.
watt. Go ahead.
I was going to say on those on clock mechanisms and such. If you start getting established and you're doing a lot of work, it's worth looking into either Amazon or even some of your local businesses like Hobby Lobby and such will allow you to set up business accounts that can sometimes save you a little bit, if not, at least the sales tax and such. So, but yeah, if it's a handful of them, a lot of times it's best just to, look at if a local store has them, see if they'll order in a bunch for you. Otherwise, Amazon to get a handful of them.
Yeah, now Penny, this wasn't a this wasn't like an email or a text message or nothing. This was actually an email from UPS. saying that a package was being sent to me from Amazon. So I was like, I knew I had some stuff in my cart, but I was like, I haven't checked out yet. But I keep stuff in my Amazon cart. I'll put stuff in there and then I'll wait a day or two, make sure I still think it's a good idea, and then I'll go back in there and check out, because I have a problem with impulse buying tech stuff.
You just got to be careful that you don't put it in there and then all of a sudden go, oh, I need to order this quick, and forget it's in your cart, and all of a sudden go, why did that box of Q-tips cost $300?
Yeah, yeah, I've had that. I've had those moments when they first came out with that buy it now button. I didn't know what that was. Man, that got me in trouble. I had stuff just show up because I was just looking at it and I bumped the button and it would like show up and I'm like, well, what is this?
There we go. So Mark's recommending Bearwood Supply. They sell USA made movements, so that's awesome on both fronts. Definitely something to check into.
Gravy. I've had a couple people mention it, and I'm sure Steve has too. I know me and him have talked about it before. Oh, but no, I'm not an OnlyFans kind of guy. That's I'm gonna have to stick with my knowledge and my skills rather than that. But no, that's not. I appreciate it when people do want to contribute or do want to help. But guys, just watching the videos and helping promote the channel and like sharing with other people if they're looking for questions, sharing our videos and stuff like that. That helps me and Steve out more than you guys know. These videos, that helps us with the companies because seriously, me and Steve were talking about a machine the other day in a live. Like me and him were talking about, yeah, it seems like it's going to be a nice machine. And then 2 days later, we both get emails from the company and they start sending us stuff. So, I mean, it does help, and it does help us to be able to do stuff like that. And I try to support, like I've got some local guys that do, whatever all of us do. They play around with lasers and try to make money. My buddy Klein's one of them and a few others. And I try to help them out with their machines. I've actually got a nonprofit organization that reached out to me that's here local in the state. And he's an older guy, he's a retired police officer, and he does memorial plaques for downed officer families. And so I'm going to partner with him and some of the equipment that I've got that would help him out. Basically, I'm going to keep him upgraded because he does these plaques for free and mails them all over the country to families of fallen police officers and deputies and stuff like that, FBI, whoever they are. So I'm going to partner with him. Not only am I going to train him on how to use the machine because he had a guy that was doing it and something happened and it went south, but I want to help train him on the machine, help build some files for him. Called in a favor with another buddy that builds files and has his own business in the county north of me. He's going to help with some of the file building as well. And we're going to basically, this guy, all he's going to have to do is just put the wood in there and hit go and then do the finish that he likes to do and send it. So I try to find creative ways to kind of give back. And then a lot of the machines, as I get through with them, I donate them to the local STEM program. It's like a trade school where they teach kids about robotics and 3D printers and lasers and stuff like that. And they can take these things and use them, or they can take them and take parts off of them and make something for their robots or whatever. So I try to give back that stuff that way. And me and Steve have also talked about trying to come up with a fair, efficient way of maybe like throwing some of that stuff out there for you guys to have a shot at it. But we're still working out the details on that. But it's fun. But it's like I said, it's all because of you guys though. If it wasn't for y'all watching us, nobody'd want to send us nothing. So that's good.
Yeah, I share a lot of those thoughts too, and I when you get to Patreon and such, you're asking your core audience to really financially support you, and I feel like then I really need to be consistent and really making sure that I'm earning that that extra bit there, and this really is an enhanced hobby for me, more than me trying to make a buck off of it. I enjoy playing with technology. I enjoy playing with automation and machines. And I enjoy, I come from my grandmother and my mom were both educators. And so trying to share information and knowledge is just kind of in my blood that way. So I would feel bad on some of the weeks and the months that I couldn't keep up with, making sure that I was
Yeah.
making it worthwhile to that group as well. So that's where I
Yeah.
haven't done it. But yeah, like Clack said, just people coming here on this live, liking, commenting, sharing our videos, enjoying that. That's wonderful support, and we definitely appreciate that. So
Oh yeah. Well, and like you said, Steve, I mean, if I don't like, I guess maybe it's from what I've done for a living, doing law enforcement and all that. I just, I don't mind helping people. But like you said, if you're paying me every month and then you have a problem, then, I'm the type that I'll be up day and night trying to help fix it like I do at my normal job. And so, yeah, I'm kind of, I don't want it to go from something I enjoy and something that's kind of low pressure, low stress to always stressing because you got somebody that you can't help and they've been a supporter like weekly donations or whatever. Oh, so that's kind of the same way on that. I'm not trying to get that way. I make a little bit of extra money doing this. When I retire, I'll figure out ways to make more money doing this. But I sell my products that I make and make a little bit of here and there. Most of the money that I make from doing the videos goes back into equipment and gear and fees and software and cameras and all that to help do a little bit better job with my videos for you guys. Like I just put in some 4000K lighting. Can you tell? This has a little warmer picture back there. Uh, but uh, but yeah, it's fun. Like Steve said, if you want to get, I know Steve or I either one on YouTube. If you want to donate, feel free. We're not going to stop you. You can do that on YouTube. You can do that on Facebook, but we're not going to. I'm not going to like charge a what do they call it, a cover charge to get in.
yeah, yeah,
I
no,
just that's just not me. Not right now, especially if I ever you know decide to maybe, but I don't see that happening.
yeah, I like it when people can get the information for free. They don't have to feel like they have to pay for something, and if we can make some money from someone else that doesn't cost the viewers or the group, the community, anything, that yeah, sure, I might go after that. But I don't even like being too salesy. I mean, if I hopefully people
Yeah.
notice that in a lot of my videos is I try to take a product overview and put a lot of learning into it, not just sell the thing. There's a lot of these
Well,
manufacturers that say, hey, we want you to do this, 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 and this, and I'm like, no, thank you. I will give an honest overview of the machine, and try to teach people about how best to use it. But I'm not your marketing department, so I don't
yeah.
want to
I
take
think me and
advantage
you.
of people that way.
I think me and you both have got our hands slapped a couple of times, haven't we, for saying stuff in our videos that they didn't want us to say. But
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes they get a little unhappy when we point out things that weren't correct. But
well, my rule though is I'm not going to overlook the things that are bad with the machine, but I try to point out if I point out one bad thing, I try to point out at least one good thing because you can always find both. If I ever get a machine that's like nothing good about it, I'm not even going to make a video. I'm just going to send them an email and be like, guys, back up, punt, start over. Uh, because each machine, to me, it's not necessarily something bad about a machine. It's just like people. Some people aren't good at certain things, but they're really good at others. Machines are the same way. There's not a machine on the market that I know of that can check all the boxes of affordability, easy to put together, works great, has all the technology. It just doesn't exist. You got to decide what you want and find the machine that fits the bill. So, but yeah, I don't think Super Chat shouldn't be gravy. From what I know of it, I don't know how I would be disabled.
so here's an actual
Unless it's on
question
Steam.
that came in on all this. So Phil finally got his 20-watt D1 Pro this afternoon, set up and going. Second attempt, hit the flame alarm. Any helpful advice? You can,
Mm-hmm.
by default, it's turned on high sensitivity, right? You can adjust it down to low sensitivity, or you can go to the do not show again, which is basically turning it off. On mine, I've moved it to low, and you got to do this through XCS, so you're going to need to make sure you're running that in there. And I would change that to at least low. That'll help with a lot of what I would call those false positives. And then give it a shot. If you're continually getting it, you can either disable it or you can reach out to XTool and say, what's going on with my machine? Or you could put some black electrical tape over the sensor on the front of the machine and just manually disable it that way too. But I would try turning it down to low first, and that'll hopefully turn down those errors for you.
Yeah. I wound up turning mine off because it seemed like it only wanted to mess up when I was doing something really important.
Yeah, and that's the good and the bad of safety devices. They can help out when something goes wrong or prevent a bad thing from happening, but they can also ruin a good project when it gets confused or it thinks something's happening. We see that in IT security all the time. You put so many controls in, pretty soon it starts blocking the good with the bad, and now it's being worse than not having it at all. So,
yes, it is. Yeah, because if you remember when I first got my 20 watt, I was all excited about it. I took it to an event, and I got like shut down 3 times during the event from flame alarms. And it took a little while for me to realize that it was a reflection of the sun at the event that was causing it.
Yep.
And yeah, I turned that thing off because it was really, especially at an event, because you're doing a product for somebody and it's halfway through the burn and it just stops, and then you got a line of people, and it's just so yeah, I turned that off. It cost me too much money that day.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to remember that because when I head down to Georgia here in a few weeks, I am planning on bringing a laser with. Because I'm not only going to be at this event, but I'm going to go to a friend of mine's shop, Chris, with a Glimpse Inside, hang out with him for a day. And he's played with his bigger Laguna 150 watt CO2 laser quite a bit. He's aware of diodes, but I don't think he's ever messed with one diode. So I want to bring one down and play around with it with him. So when I'm at the event, though, I'm going to be out. This is a model airplane event. I'm out in a big, huge, grassy private airport under a shade tent. So I don't want that thing failing because of.
Well, if you take the XTool, if you take the XTool, just go ahead and turn it off. Do yourself a favor. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Tell you outdoor especially.
Well,
I'm trying to find the other part of Beaver Creek's question here, but I can't find it. You're thinking about what? Bringing it over here to the house?
I'm thinking about bringing the XTool because it's a low-profile machine. I've got the XTool enclosure that folds down real nice because it all velcros together. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing.
Yeah. The XTool is the one I use at events, but now mostly because that was my original machine that I started my little business with, and that's the way the portable shack is set up for that machine specifically. And as I get new stuff in here, I plan on putting it out there and just leaving it in my little box trailer. I can't find the first part of this question nowhere. I have looked everywhere.
So as far as the gantry belt, you want it to, is it D sharp that you want it to be tuned to, or?
No, I don't do music.
Actually, no.
All I know is how far it moves. When you push on it, how far it moves.
If you can pluck it and it vibrates and gives you a tone, it's probably a little too tight. You want it just enough so that there's tension on it, that it's not feeling loose. But if it's too tight, that can be causing some issues as well. So it shouldn't be like a guitar string.
I would say because if you put it as like a guitar string, it's pulling that gantry down against the rails as well, and it costs too much. All I can tell you is, and this y'all can make fun of me. I roll them, and I can tell by the feel of it. But if I do press on them, what I do is where the little triangle is, like there's you got the linkage bar, and you got the 2 rollers. I will push on that little triangle. And if it moves about a millimeter or 2, and that's all it moves, I'm good. Now, if it doesn't move at all, then it's too tight. But if it moves more than say 2 millimeters, when you kind of put a little pressure on it, then you need to tighten that thing up. But you don't want it to where it's just singing every time it moves, because, like I said, the tighter you get that, it's actually pulling downward.
Yeah, it
On
might
that
work, but
shaft.
it's gonna wear things out sooner. So
It's gonna sound like a violin playing when you move too.
yeah, you want to be more like a bass than a violin.
Go Georgia, Penny says. Hey, Penny, Steve's coming to Georgia, y'all. Y'all do him up right over there. I may even ride over there and meet up with him. I don't know yet. It's going to depend on what my schedule looks like. You should make him up.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how the weather is. But so there's okay. You got to watch Chris's video to understand this.
I wasn't going to ask at
was
all. I was just sitting here quietly.
A April Fool's video, and he made a logo combining the brand Woodpecker, which is a popular woodworking tool brand, and Festool. So there's a little bit of teenage boy humor in there, but
yeah. No, I wasn't even going to mention that. I was just like, that's you and Brian. I mean, you and Brian got like a bromance type thing going on, and I wasn't fixing to get in it. I used the roll slow under its own weight at 45 degrees. Yeah, Chris, the 45 degree tilt's a good go by. That with most every machine, if it'll roll at about 45 degrees, typically you're okay. I'm just a little OCD sometimes. And I've got to where this if it's a 10 watt versus a 20 watt, of course it's going to roll at different points because of the different weight attached to it. And so I check them with a couple of different methods, but I typically get them adjusted eventually. I appreciate you, Gravy. Gravy said there's an example. Super chat. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Like I said, I don't get on here doing that. I try to get these companies to help finance a lot of my expenses, pay the light bill out here. Oh, we're in Georgia, Steve. That's what Penny wants to know. You're gonna have to tell her about the whole event.
It's down in Americus, Georgia, is where this event's at. Southwestern corner.
Penny, I am trying my best to get him to come through and stop through Alabama, and I'm trying because he keeps telling me that it gets just as hot in Minnesota as it does down here, and I'm a non-believer. I'm not questioning Steve's integrity, but I'm a non-believer. I think he's mistaken. But I really want to put him on the sawmill for about 3 or 4 hours, and see how his hydration holds up. That's what I want, because right now I'm in central Alabama, which is Americus is east of me, so it's going to be about the same temperature over there as it is here. So it may actually be a little north of me, but yeah. But I'm thinking about trying to put Steve on the sawmill when he comes through. But I'm afraid it might like wipe him out too much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll admit I don't do the best with lots of heat, but I mean that's the thing here in Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes plus a lot of rivers. We have a lot of humidity up here in the summer, and it does get up. We get above 100 just as much as we get below zero. So
why do you live there? I mean, because in the summertime, I'm moving to Alaska, and then of course winter hits, and I'm like, no, I don't want to be in Alaska. So I mean, if it's as hot, if it's hot in the summer and cold in the winter, I mean, when do you do anything? I mean, like you get like a week. You get like a week.
No, I mean, it's not as consistently hot. We get up there, but it's not, it's not as consistently hot, and it's a beautiful state. So,
all right, there you go. Jason's got a technical question for you there, so you can break out your technical knowledge.
Yes.
That's it. That's all you got. No
Well, you
talking
can.
about volume.
You can.
No talking about volume and PSI and all
You
that.
can. You can use an airbrush compressor with it. Again, it depends on what a lot of your setup. And so, yes, you want to move a volume of air. Um, I would say an airbrush compressor is going to be on the very low end of the scale of what you'd want to use. And again, you'd want to check to see the volume of air it's moving. I would say a Monport 40 watt, you're going to actually be looking for about the same specs as what you're going to do on a 10 to 20 watt diode. And so you're going to want the 30 liters per minute airflow through there to get some reasonable results. What I actually like to do on my CO2s is run an air compressor with a tank that you can actually adjust. You have like a valve adjustment on, and then you can have some variability in where your airflow is. With the air pump, it's tough to do that. Um, you can actually damage an air pump by restricting it. So, but with the air compressor, then you got to worry about having basically a moisture trap before the right before the laser to make sure you're not spraying liquid in with your compressed air. So,
like that.
yeah, the thing that's covered up by the logo. There.
Yeah, yeah. There's one that goes to the Monport. There's the one for the XTool, and the one for the Acer's on the side of it, and then I've got another one that's right here on my testing table. So
Yeah,
those
Matt,
are very handy. You don't want to blow water through your laser.
Matt, it doesn't even need to be a 40 for people start wearing shorts around here. There's some foolish people up here.
I was fixing to say, I've been waiting on Steve to do the polar bear plunge in one of our lives, and he hadn't done it yet, guys. Because he keeps talking about all these lakes.
We have lakes up
But
here. I'm not saying I'm going to go in them. We also have agriculture and some nastiness. You know. Get me up into northern Minnesota. I'll do that.
Oh, okay. Any special attachments? There you go. There's another one. I think he's talking about the Monport, wasn't it?
Yeah. So basically, you need the head that has like the air cone on it, and then you'll want some tubing. You should be able to feed. What is it? There's some tubing you
Quarter
can
inch.
get that should be able to feed through there.
I used to
And
use the regular black quarter inch.
okay, yep. Um, but no, other than that, the tubing, the air pump, and the airhead. That's all you need to add to it.
And it's pretty much already got the most aggravating part that I had was running the airline through the machine, because you had to go in and out to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, just add a little Dawn dish soap to it, and it slides right through.
Yeah,
it's true.
Oh yeah. And I thought I did a video on the air assist, and I may have, but yeah, I wound up. I think Light Ray was the one I wound up going with, and it works pretty well. But now it will change your focus, which
Yeah,
don't get me started.
honestly, the two things I would do on the Monfort K40 is add air assist and some sort of adjustable bed. Those are the two things that are going to be the biggest upgrades on that machine you can do right off the bat.
Yeah, I had a honeycomb that's big enough for the work area and an 8x8 scissor lift, and I engineered myself a way that I can actually let it up and down without taking it out. It's bolted to the machine.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to take a pair of pliers and adjust it because I can't find a handle that'll fit on there just yet. But that was once I changed that nozzle out, it messed my focus up, and I had to come up with a way to do it. Clear acrylic. I thought I gave that out a while ago, didn't I? I thought I gave him that a while ago. Clear acrylic on the Monport, 8 millimeters a second, 60% power, 2 passes. And that's true 60% power. I don't have mine limited in LightBurn or anything. I've got it crunk up to where 60% in LightBurn is actually 60%. So Yeah, I need to, Jason. And I actually was planning on doing that because I was putting the finishing touches on that about the time I started with EnclosureZilla. And you can ask Steve. Since then, it's just been bam, bam, bam. And then I had to put this ceiling up here because you see the pictures I sent you the other day where that 10 above my head was 100 and like 105 degrees on a cloudy day. So it was time, and I've actually got the air conditioner ordered. So I'm going to try my hand at installing a mini split. I'll let you know how
Yeah,
that works.
yeah. You sent those pictures. I think the same day I'm dealing with snow, so I felt really bad for you. Yeah.
Dude, I've lost like 6 or 7 pounds in the past couple of weeks. I took off for a week, and I tell you, I'm looking forward to going back to work tomorrow where I can rest. That's bad. I mean, because I have been doing manual labor. I built new porch steps, replaced countless boards on the deck. Now my wife does the painting. I have wrist issues that if I paint too long, like it's like my hand goes to sleep and I can't feel my fingers.
Hmm.
So I hate painting. Painting and those little tiny Allen wrenches that come with these new machines are about the only two things that done it, but does it. But years of push-ups and running and carrying heavy stuff and weightlifting, I guess, have just done their deed on my wrists.
You need to get yourself a set of these.
Well, I've got some in my cart. Remember we talked about that Amazon cart? I've actually got me
These
one that
are
takes batteries.
these are in bad. Oh yeah, so I've got that too.
Yeah.
Um, it's this little pen size thing, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Hey, why don't you send me a link for the one that works? Because I couldn't figure out when you look at stuff on Amazon, it looks like it's small, but then when it shows up, it's the size of an old Streamlight
Yeah,
flashlight or something.
this one
So send me
works,
a link
but
on that.
doesn't have a lot of torque. So
Well, that's good. You don't want to break those little tiny screws off. My hands are too big in some of those places, and it's just hard to turn those things.
yeah, I'll
And
send
it
you a link to
seems that
this
that's
one.
constantly doing them.
Yep.
Let's see who was asking me. What would be the best fiber laser? In my opinion,
It,
whatever you can afford.
I was gonna say, is money a factor? Epilogue makes some really nice ones, but you pay for them.
Mm. But yeah, I'll put the Monport back on the list. It's still technically on the list. And this Christmas, I'm sure I'll do one because that's where I do it. Like Christmas ornaments, I buy sheets of acrylic, and while I'm burning wooden ornaments on the other machines, I'm burning acrylic ornaments on that one. Uh,
So
yeah,
I'm just
Brian, the
waiting.
Mr. Cools were a little expensive. I went with what was the brand? It was a different brand. I got through Home Depot,
I think it
but
was
Mr. Cool, they
Mister
like those.
Mister Slightly Chilled instead of Mister Cool.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was a different. It was a different brand, but it was seriously, it was like $800 cheaper than the Mr. Cool. But the specs and everything, it looked the same. Just
Yeah,
picked
I
up my second.
I hope to do. I've got some of the upgrade stuff for the K40 as well, and I'm hoping. My plan is once it warms up enough that I can be out in the shop more with the doors open and such. I'm gonna do a big shuffle out there, and be able to get that set up in a spot that I can more easily do it. Because I was trying to do some stuff down here, but I just don't have the area to move around. Because a lot of times you're trying to show things in the back and the front and all over, and it was just getting frustrating trying to show that down here in the tinier space. So.
Well, you realize you have two spaces and I only have one, so I'm not really feeling. I mean, I'm just not feeling sorry for you right now. I'm just not.
Not looking for pity. It's, I'm just not into freezing too much or paying way too much to heat the area. So
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a matter of necessity at this point because I've took off a week and we've got one order done. I got all the cutting boards done, but I've still got like 6 stove covers to build. I got 2 sign orders that came in this week that I got to do. So it's going to be every afternoon. I'm going to be back out here again this week. So it's just I spend so much time out here. I've got to have at least knock the top off the heat or knock the chill off the air. You know what I mean? I don't have to have it comfortable. I don't mind sweating a little bit. Now it is a little inconvenience when you're out here trying to work with these things, and people get them, and there's like, what's this little spot? Oh, that's sweat dripped on it. My bad. So I try to avoid that.
Jack, congratulations on your second Etsy sale. Awesome to hear. Just got to
Yes.
keep at it. Beaver Creek, when you move the head across the gantry by hand, it moves and grabs. Will move so far and grab again. Remind me what kind of laser it is. It could be an irregularity in the wheels. It could be, if it's in the same spot all the time, you might want to check the actual extrusion or the rail it's riding on to see if there's a slight imperfection. But usually it's that. Otherwise, if your belts are too tight and the pulley is binding, that could be it as well. You got any thoughts on that one?
Is it the gantry like left to right, the as it rolls along the gantry, or is it which axis?
P20 plus.
P20 plus.
Is it the 8s or P20 or the?
I was gonna say P20 plus. Is that? I was gonna say, is that an eighter? I think the P20 plus was just wasn't that like it came with some extras? Is this a P20 H or P20, right? If it's moving if it's the gantry, if you're sliding it across the gantry back and forth, and it's doing that, it sounds to me like either the rollers need adjusting or your belt is way out.
Well,
Because
and
there's
and
no
it could.
timing. There's no timing on the gantry, so it couldn't be that. I gotta have another Tums, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing could be the 8s or wheels. Occasionally you'll get an imperfection in one of those, but you also might want to double check that they're not too tight. So when you adjust your eccentric nut, that will actually lift up and lower one of the wheels to how hard it's grabbing onto the rail. And if that's too tight, any imperfection in the wheel or the rail is going to be exaggerated. But if you have a slight bump in there, sometimes you can just lightly sand it down, polish it out, or if there's something actually on the extrusion that it's riding on, you can see about cleaning that up. But yeah, I would check your wheels on that one.
Is it a new machine or is this one that's been running a while? Because if it's been running a while, it may need to be cleaning, like Steve said.
It can't be that old, being the 8s or 20.
You want to know how much stuff mine's been burnt though?
Well, yeah, no, I'm just.
You saw that big stack of cutting boards the other day, didn't you? So, when people tell me, oh, that's like people kill me with this, 100% thing. I saw it again the other day. They're like, oh, you don't run your laser at 100%, it won't last. Sheesh. Mine should have been dead if that was the case. Because I run the mess out of mine. All right. Questions, people? Crowd's starting to fall off. It's coming up on 2 hours. It's almost Steve's bedtime. He's getting old. You can tell by the gray in his beard. And I got to go back to work tomorrow. And I've been off for a week. God, I kind of don't want to go, but I do need a break. A fiber. Now, I don't know about fiber. I wouldn't think it wouldn't matter with a fiber, but hey, it's personal preference. Hey, if you pay for it, run it how you want it.
So,
but
yeah,
but yeah,
it sounds like Beaver's machine's brand new. Yeah, sometimes you just got to walk away for an evening, come back at it. But I would definitely double check your wheels, double check your belt tension. Make sure that I know on my 8s, I think you mentioned this too. I had to adjust mine I think I had to. I
Mm-hmm.
think they were all a little tight on mine, and I had to loosen them just a little bit.
Yeah, mine was
So
a little firm. So
yep. So you might need to back those off just a little bit, and it'll hopefully smooth that out a bit. So, but definitely, I mean, I've been there. You just gotta step away, take a break, come back at it fresh the next day, and it might just work itself out. So
yeah, I think they do that for shipping, so that when they're handling
it
it,
could be.
it doesn't slam. I think because I found a few of the machines will do that if they don't have it. Like it's like they take and put just like an extra quarter turn on it just to make it real tight so it doesn't slam while they're moving it around or whatever.
Yeah, the Acemer was
But
the opposite way. I had to really tighten those up. They were super loose. So
yeah, John, 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 I told my wife the other day. I told her I said I don't, because I was all happy about it. I was going to get to basically live the retired life. And I told her this morning, I was like, we was getting ready for church, and I told her, I said, I'm going to be honest with you. If this is what retirement's going to be like, I'm not sure I'm ready for it. And but she said that it's because I've been so busy. I've just had so much stuff stacked up that I've been playing whack-a-mole for the past 5 days, 6 days, trying to get everything done. And it's all outside stuff. And of course, we got the 80-degree weather with like really good sun. So I've got my pigmentation back. I thought
yeah,
I
but
got burned the other day, but luckily I didn't.
but that's what they say is that you got to keep yourself busy in retirement. So
Well, yeah, if I had a 100-watt diode jack, I probably wouldn't run it at 100% either, or a 100-watt fiber. I mean, I'd love to have a 100-watt fiber jack. If you get tired of that thing, you can just drop it off. I'll send you the address.
yeah,
Well, Mark, uh, I only have one gear, and I'll go back and Steve gets me on this a lot, and people make fun of me and say that I don't sleep or whatnot. But when I was really really young, back when I was a kid, they had this new thing that everybody had called Ritalin, and and my doctors wanted to put me on Ritalin. Of course, my dad grew up in the 1940s, and he just said I just didn't work enough. So my dad's cure to keep me from getting in trouble and being a pain in the rear was that I had all kinds of chores and things, and I mean, so since I was little bitty, I have basically went from the time my feet hit the floor until the time my head hits the pillow. Since I was literally a child, and so I don't sit and watch TV. I don't sit and watch football games. I don't sit and watch soccer. I don't sit and watch hockey. I'm out here building, working on things, doing stuff, working in the yard, tractoring, doing something. I can't sit still, literally. I mean, seriously, I can't. Uh, it's been killing me to sit here behind this computer and talk to you guys for 2 hours. That's why I'm a little. Sometimes I get a little animated and I'm going and doing things. I suffer from a little bit of hyperactivity disorder, but with that, I also got a bad case of, my wife calls it laser beam focus, which basically means when I start something, I physically cannot make myself stop it until I'm either at a defined stopping point or I'm finished. And those defined stopping points don't make sense to everybody else, but it makes sense to me. It has to be some point where I can come back in and start back with minimal like risk of something going wrong. And so, yeah, that's pretty much been me since like 5 years old. Uh, so that's how I'm able to accomplish what I do. Steve sends me texts all the time. It's like, dude, do you ever sleep? I mean, you're in the shop again. Do you do this? Do you do that? And a lot of people are like, I don't think you sleep. But that's just the way I am. And up until recently, I had my 80 hours every 2 week job, and I had a couple more side jobs, and I was always in the seat of a patrol car. Uh, and now all I do is this and my Monday through Friday. So when I get home in the afternoons, I'm out here working on stuff or texting Steve and trying to figure out what our next little project's going to be.
Yeah, well, I'm often so I have a staff at work that I supervise, and I'm often preaching to them work life balance, uh, because some of them get a little too invested, a little too willing to go the extra mile, and I'm like, you know what, we're not saving lives here. It can wait till Monday. Go home, relax. I need you back at 100% on Monday. And that means different things for different people. I know for myself, I need to keep, if I don't keep myself busy, then and I just sit and watch TV, then I'm going to be sitting on watching TV. I'm going to be watching TV and snacking, and overall, it's just not healthy for me and such. So I do need to
Yeah.
keep myself busy in the shop, both mentally and also physically. But yeah, I like my relaxed time too. I need my downtime, because some days I don't have a physically demanding job, but there can be some mentally stressful days, and they can wipe you out almost as much. And so it's kind of a balance of, do I recover from that by getting out in the shop and doing something, or do I just chill for a day? So yeah.
Yeah. This is my happy place. This is my therapy too, guys. I mean, it is honestly. Oh, I love being out here. I enjoy it. Now I enjoy my family. I enjoy friends, but I enjoy being out here working, creating things, learning things. It's fun.
Um,
Frank said he found some clock hands for $12.
cool.
Amazon.
There was one
But yeah,
question about the air assist cones. Do they need to be metal, or would plastic style be okay? Technically, plastic would work. However, they do add an extra fire risk. So I would recommend you get more of a metal style, or on some diodes you can actually get the kind of offset style, where it's not an actual cone, but it's more of like a 3D printer nozzle, and it's spraying from the side. Um, those are probably less likely to be a fire hazard, but some of the cone ones, I've seen them start some pretty nasty fires. So I would be cautious about those. So
well, I'm not a 3D printer guy because I don't have one yet. But I also know that it depends on what material they're printed out of. Some of the materials have a substantially less melting point than
mhm.
most of the plastics that are used in the construction of lasers. So you may want to watch for that too, because I've seen some folks that say they bought one and then it just like melt and fall apart.
Well, right. I mean, PLA will melt in a car that's just in the sunlight. So you can imagine if you got a little bit of heat from your laser. Now, granted, your laser should not be heating up that much. I've taken an IR thermometer to mine just to see how much that brass sleeve on the XTool heats up, and it's barely triggering 100 unless something's wrong. So
Yes, sir.
anyhow,
He said he thought that would be risky. And like I said, I'm not saying that it's not going to work. A lot of the ones that we get with aftermarket kits have plastic parts. But you know, plastic seems to be a little harder to clean too than metal, because you'd have to be careful what you cleaned it with. With metal, I mean, you can technically take a little wire brush and go at it if you need to. Oh,
or soak it in acetone.
yeah. Chris says PLA will melt in a dishwasher. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know it was that sensitive. I knew PLA was easier to melt than ABS and what's the other one? I've been doing some research on 3D printers. I'm trying to decide what I want to get. I keep hoping between Creality and now Longer that I've got their equipment. I keep thinking maybe they might send me one and be like, "Hey, try this out." But no. Well, the weird thing is, yes, I have played with PETG. Yeah, yeah, that's it. But I've been doing a little bit of research, but I still don't know all the words yet. I'm learning the language. But no, I didn't start out life doing carpentry work. Oh, I actually not a real good carpenter. I found that out the other day when I was putting this up, because I had to. I'm a better carpenter today than I was 20 years ago when I built this structure that has become the Clack Shack, because I went and got 24-inch insulation bats, right? Because that's what 24-inch centers. Yeah, 8 out of 10 were on 24-inch centers, but 2 out of 10 were on about 27 and a half centers. So yeah, I'm not. I have gotten a lot better now, but I
My
still.
my my dad was a carpenter when I was really young, and he definitely had that skill throughout life. And we built a number of projects over the years, and I always enjoy being able to work on a project with my dad that way. And so that taught me some of my skills with tools and such, and if nothing else, not being afraid to jump in and try it. So it's good work.
Yeah, the
I actually
problem
enjoy
I
it. I enjoy it because compared to my normal work, after you get done with a day of carpentry, you got something very, I mean, tangible. You got a structure, you got a wall, you got a roof, whatever you're working on, that's right in front of you. You can see what is there and the reason that you're tired versus 12 hours of trying to wrestle with what sort of security issue you had on your server and it's now broken. Just a bunch of digital ones and zeros that are out of order.
Mark said he didn't bring a flashlight. Mark, they make these solar powered motion detection lights. That's what I got between here and the house. But yeah, like I said, I didn't. I've spent the past 25 years of my career learning a skill that really has no other application than what I do. Well, there's a couple, but they're not something you want to do on a daily basis. So the skills that I have spent myself learning for 25 years, uh, dealing with, making entry into houses and rappelling off of buildings and stuff like that. There's only so much. There's only so much of that you can do. There's only a couple of jobs that you can do, and it's not really a job that a 50-year-old man wants, and that's where I'm steadily approaching. So the carpentry work's a little better suited in the civilian world, in the working world, and lasers I just enjoy it. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but anyway. 3D printing is slow. I've heard that, Brian. Steve's told me that it's not going to be as fast as the lasers. So I may need a bunch of them to be able to keep up. I just want one to be able to make parts. Like I had to cut a part for that Niji out of wood because I don't have a 3D printer. I started to do it out of acrylic, but I was like, black acrylic is just isn't going to look right because it's all black machine. I wanted to do it. I started to do it out of orange acrylic. But anyway. All right, guys. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up here. It's 9 o'clock. Steve's got to go take his Geritol and get ready for bed. All that good stuff. But any last questions, remarks? Brian, was there anything you'd like to say, Steve, about his beard while we're here? I got you some new sounds too, Steve. I didn't get to use them.
That's unfortunate.
I've actually gotten to where I can do 3D modeling on the software, but I just don't have time to really play with it. Steve, I got to like show you. I found that. Look, I mean, just here, random.
Oh my gosh, that's so loud.
Oh, is it? I can turn the volume down on it. No, Brian, I can't have a beard here. Oh, I can't grow it, guys. I don't know what to tell you. In case you haven't noticed, it doesn't grow. All right. This is all I can do. I got trailer park genetics, and that's about all we get. I don't have the Russian Viking genetics that Steve has over there.
It's Norwegian Viking, thank you.
Whatever. Steve's ancestors walked across the peninsula and jumped across the border of Russia. But yeah, sound effect of the week next week will be. Well, no, I got a couple of others. I got a really good one I was going to get after Brian went.
Seriously, that's loud.
Oh, okay. I need to adjust the volumes on them. But anyway, guys, enjoyed it. Glad y'all got to come hang out with us. And if anybody's, interested or has questions, go over to the Laser Engraver community page. Hit that up. Steve and I are troll through there periodically and if you're in the group, guys, and you're somebody that comes a lot and you would like to help with, making sure we don't get a bunch of spam folks in there and robots and everything, and you want to kind of help us regulate that, let me know. I'm always looking for folks to lend a hand at screening some of that stuff. What do you call it, moderator? I guess it would be. So if you're interested, message me. Just make a comment in the page or whatever, because we'll be more than glad for the help. Because we have had a few people that have gotten in and instantly just started spamming everybody with stuff, and I don't mind sharing, but don't overshare. Don't just keep slinging stuff, especially if it's just spammy stuff. Now, if you're Steve selling lenses occasionally, I mean, that's what it's for,
Yeah.
guys. It's for networking.
Yeah.
But don't come
Yeah.
in there just every day, 3 times a day, trying to sell something. That gets old quick.
We want it to be beneficial to everybody. We hopefully people will give as much as they ask, as far as that. So yeah, when we see people that are just joining to try to sell things to people and nothing more than that, we're gonna nix that. But we do want people to be able to share the projects they're doing. Maybe if they've done a video or something, or they spun up some cool project or whatnot. We want people to feel comfortable doing that, but we don't want people to feel spammed by commercial stuff and whatnot all the time. So
Yes, sir. But y'all have a good night. The KR Acer Rotary video, I'm working on that, guys. I had a couple setbacks, run a little long. Hopefully can finish that up tomorrow night. But I do have the longer L5 kind of in the queue right now. Should be coming out as soon as I can get everything done on it. Which I was a little, I'm not going to lie, when I opened the box for the longer, I was a little disappointed. But then after using it, it's a decent machine. So if you should see that come out in the morning, and check that out, and go watch all Steve's latest stuff. That's how you.
yeah,
Like I said, watch the videos.
I should have the Ortour rotary out. I'm gonna guess tomorrow morning. I just got a few things to add into some of the details, and we'll get that launched. So hopefully people enjoy that. And then I have another project video in the can to come out shortly after that. I may be rapid firing them this week. I've got a few things to get caught up on, and so I always appreciate the views and the feedback and the information that people want to ask questions on there as well. All that does help us out and make it feel worthwhile. So definitely check out both channels, and we will be back here again next week.
All right, guys. Later.